Today we're diving into a story that's part legend, part legal drama, and all faith. This is the incredible story of Sakshi Gopal, the god who literally walked the earth. So let's just jump right into the big question because it's a wild one. How on earth did a stone statue, a temple deity, end up traveling hundreds of miles to testify in a human court case? I mean, really, think about that for a second. It sounds completely impossible. Well, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to travel to a temple in a small town in Odisha. And the name of this town? Sakshi Gopal. Which, get this, literally means the witness Gopal. That's not just a coincidence, it's the very heart of this amazing story. All right, so picture this. Our story kicks off in a place called Nagar, where two Brahmins are about to set off on a really long pilgrimage. And these guys could not be more different. One is old and well off, and the other is young, poor, with basically nothing to his name except his faith. You know, on a long journey like that, things change. That difference in status starts to melt away, and a real bond forms through service and gratitude. And it's in the holy city of Vrindavan, where that bond leads to a promise that's going to set a miracle in motion. So they're trekking to all these holy sites like Gaya and Kashi, and the whole time, the young man is just taking incredible care of the older one. He's not doing it for money or anything like that. The story says he did it purely out of devotion to Lord Krishna. By the time they get to Vrindavan, the old Brahmin is just completely overwhelmed with gratitude. He says to the young man, "You know, you've served me better than my own son ever could." And as a reward for this incredible service, he makes an offer that nobody saw coming. He offers his daughter's hand in marriage. The young man, of course, is hesitant. He's poor, he has no status, but the old man absolutely insists. But the young Brahmin is smart. He knows promises can be broken. So he asks for just one thing to make it official, to make it unbreakable. He asks the old man to make the vow right there, in the temple, in front of the deity of Lord Gopal. And so the old man does, declaring his promise out loud, with God as his witness. So he's made this sacred promise, right, in front of a god, but then he gets home to Vijayanagar and everything falls apart. His family is absolutely furious. They threaten to kill themselves if he marries his daughter off to someone so poor and uneducated. The old man is trapped. And his son comes up with this really cynical plan. "Dad, just say you forgot. Just pretend it never happened." Now, faced with a betrayal like that, the young Brahmin doesn't get angry, he doesn't seek revenge. Instead, he goes back to the only witness he has. And this, right here, is where the story turns from a simple promise into an absolutely unbelievable journey. And this is the part of the story I find so fascinating. The young man goes all the way back to Vrindavan, and he tells Lord Gopal, "Look, I'm not even here about the marriage anymore." What truly pains him is seeing this good, devout man being forced to lie, to break his sacred principle of truthfulness. He just wants the deity to come and set the record straight, to save the old man's honor. At first, the deity of Gopal actually speaks to him and says, "You know, I'm a statue." Statues don't just get up and walk from place to place, but the young man's faith is just unshakable. He comes back with this profound line, arguing, "Wait a minute, if you can talk, you can walk. You're not just a statue, you are Krishna himself." And this powerful display of faith, it works. Lord Gopal agrees to walk all the way to Vijayanagar, but there are some very specific conditions. He says, "I'll walk behind you, but you can never, ever turn around and look back. The only proof you'll have that I'm there is the sound of my ankle bells. Oh, and one more thing. You have to offer me cooked rice every single day of the journey." And so began this incredible trek. A mortal man leading a walking god. For 100 days. Can you just imagine that? For over 3 months, he just walks. And the only thing he has to go on is the sound of those little bells and his own faith. So they're almost there. They're right on the outskirts of Vidyanagar. And then, silence. The ankle bells stop. And in that one moment of panic, of doubt, the young Brahmin does the one thing he was told not to do. He looks back. And there he sees the smiling face of Lord Gopal, who then, just as he'd warned, becomes fixed in stone, right on that very spot. So just like that, the journey is over. But in another way, the real story is just getting started, because now you've got a statue of a god standing in a field, and the entire village is just stunned. That spot becomes sacred ground, a landmark of faith. And this statue itself, its journey wasn't over either. It's actually traveled through history. After everything went down in Vidyanagar, it was moved several times by powerful kings and saints, from Kathak to the famous Jagannath Temple in Puri, before finally getting its own permanent home where it is today in Sakshi Gopal. And the temple today? It's a beautiful example of Kalinga architecture. The idol is said to be carved from a super rare, imperishable stone called Braja stone. And a couple of interesting details. A statue of Radha was added much later, and the sacred food offering here is made from wheat, which is unusual for the region where rice is typically the standard. They have this really special festival called Amla Nabami, and on this one day, the Radha idol is dressed in a traditional Odia sari, which makes her feet visible. For devotees, getting a glimpse of her feet, what they call darshan, is considered an incredibly rare and auspicious moment. Okay, so let's step back for a second. Why are we still telling this story centuries later? It's obviously more than just a cool miracle story. It's because it taps into some really fundamental human values. I mean, it's right there in the name, Sakshi Gopal, the witness Gopal. The entire identity of this place is built on that one powerful idea, a God who cared enough about a simple promise to walk across the country and testify. When you boil it all down, this is a story about truth. It's about the incredible power of selfless devotion. And it's about a kind of divine mercy that doesn't care about our physical limitations. It's this idea that your faith can literally move, well, not a mountain, but in this case, a god. And that really makes you think, doesn't it? This whole place, this physical temple, it exists because of this incredible story. So it begs the question, what unbelievable stories of faith, or love, or history are built right into the stone and mortar of the landmarks you pass by every day?